So thank you everyone for being here today. This event is hosted by GDA and also the Blockchain Education Network. And today we'll be presenting, or GDA will be presenting on the white paper and tokenomics creation. So thank you guys for being here again and spending your time to come and speak to these students. And this will be live on YouTube as well. So thank you. I'll leave it to you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Bennett. So yeah, first of all, my name is Will Bartlett. I'm the head of research at GDA. And also speaking today is Akshay Sood, who's our lead researcher. And yeah, so the topic today is really white papers and tokenomics creation and how that fits into just the rest of your project, the rest of a blockchain project. And we're just going to go through what we sort of do and how that fits into the broader sort of picture for every company. And so starting off, I think some of you might already know this because of other presentations, but Gda Capital is sort of a leading financial institution for emerging tech. And you can see all the stats down on the right. I won't read them all out to you, but the big idea is just that we do lots of different offerings related to crypto and digital assets, and that white papers are a pretty essential part of that. They're analogous to prospectuses in the traditional equity markets, but still different because of all the other aspects that are described within. And we're going to go into that in a second. So this is just a basic timeline of how this works. This isn't super important for you, but it's important for people that are doing blockchain projects for understanding how the projects can work. And really in the beginning, it's just onboarding and information gathering. Those are really the same step. It's just getting to know a project. And that's what we do if we're working with the company, is we have to spend some time getting to know a project, what their goal is, what they've done so far, and all of that, understanding the team and different parts of the team. And then from there, we go into designing the token economics and white paper. And that's the part that Akshay specializes in. He's written a bunch of white papers so far, and we're going to go into a case study later on that he'll walk you guys through. But really all of that is just bouncing back and forth and trying to get a full understanding of like the physics or economics of the white paper, because if that's not properly defined, then first of all, it sort of looks like a scam. Second of all, the project just isn't coming together properly. And so finally, it's just review and going over everything and making sure everyone's on the same page and sort of sign off. And that's the traditional sort of timeline. Would take, we'll say it could be a month, could be 3 months. Usually we'd say 3 months because of all the tech that usually has to be designed during that. So here's a bit about our white paper offerings. And the important thing to understand is why white papers are so key to a project. And for any investor, for any user, they're really the first touch point into the digital asset ecosystem, like your digital asset ecosystem. So if they don't understand what's going on, then they're not going to be interested. And so you need to first make sure that they're good in terms of due diligence, that potential investors can get answers for their questions, that they can do some research and go through and pull out key details, and it's not just fluff. And then secondarily, it's also a way of making sure that everyone knows where the funds are going that you're raising, and just creating the transparency that blockchain and blockchain projects are all about. And the big thing I've noticed from dealing with a bunch of different clients on white papers is, first of all, you often see people come to us and we do a ton of rewrites because of this, because companies can't find someone to write their white paper for them, because there's so much knowledge that's locked away up there, locked up in their head, that getting it out is just extremely difficult. And so they're like, oh, we'll write it ourselves. And that goes wrong in so many different ways, because there's deep technological and mathematical detail. And that's what Akshay is going to speak to in a second. And packaging that all in is very difficult for them to do, considering they're also trying to run a company and all those other things. And so it's not something that's easy to outsource. And that's the big challenge. And that's the challenge we aim to solve. And so, Akshay, do you want to walk them through some deliverables and then the other slides?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Will. So when it comes to white papers, the biggest thing that we have are like a white paper client that comes to us to get a white paper done. There's really 4 distinct deliverables. The actual white paper itself, but before you write the white paper, you have to first define token economics. Whether they have already done so or not done so, what the current status is of the project itself, and all those things come together when you're designing the token economics, and how many tokens will be in circulation, what the supply would look like, how the token would be interacting with the end user, because that is the biggest key thing here, because a white paper is only as good as the product that it represents. And if the product that it represents is not being useful or is not producing economic positive output, then it's a bad product. And so no matter how good a white paper is, if the product is not good, then it's not going to go as far. It doesn't have as many legs to stand on. Now, pertaining to the token and token economics, the token development and the go-to-market plan. Now, go-to-market plan is very, very interesting here because it's one of two things. There's a technological go-to-market plan. There's also a business go-to-market plan. Now, what I mean by this is that you have a lot of different blockchains that you can build on top of. Each blockchain, say Ethereum, you can build on top of, now like Matic, Polygon, ADA. Well, ADA not yet, but soon. And so all of these different blockchains have, and also not just public blockchains, you can do enterprise blockchains, or you can do private blockchains, right? Or you can fork a blockchain, EOS, whatever you want to call it. And so dependent on where the blockchain is in the space of public adoption, your go-to-market plan will change. And so developer resources and all those other entities come into play here. And then that is then taken into consideration when developing the actual token itself. And then once the token is developed, the onboarding happens for users, and then either a private sale happens or simply a public sale happens with an IDO, ICO, and then we'll go through some details in the future slides. So yeah, well, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So now that we're talking about building a white paper, or what a white paper is and why it's important, we have to understand how to actually go about building a concrete white paper. Now, this is barring the fact that the product that you're dealing with is actually, has a legs to stand on. So that's very, very important. If you're dealing with a product, a lot of ICOs in the 2017 to 2018 era were simply building on blockchain hype. They were like, we're going to decentralize supply chain, or we're going to decentralize Facebook. We are going to put Uber on blockchain. So all of these different storylines that existed were built off of just hype and actually no value to the end user, which is why, as you know, and as is prevalent, a lot of these failed. 99% of these projects failed because of that. Now, when you're looking at building a white paper, what you want to do is you want to first understand the playing field that you're playing within. So background research is very, very important. Knowledge of current systems. So what is currently being done within the blockchain industry, and also, without it. So like in a general sense. And then on top of that, what is the evolution of innovation that has occurred within that industry? How has technology evolved over time, and why is blockchain now going to be the next step in making things more efficient, or in being able to realize more potential value? Now, after you've done your background research, you want to identify your pain points. Now, this step can also come in the first step as well, because you are essentially solving for a problem. So you want to first, you want to identify the pain points, and typically the pain points come from doing background research, unless you have the problem already in mind and then you go and do background research for it, which is also okay. But you want to be able to identify these pain points from credible sources, from doing primary, secondary, tertiary research, so that you have, again, legs to stand on and justify why these pain points exist, so that the solution can then be quantifiable when it comes to solving for these pain points. Now, the third point here is very, very crucial. I know like all of you guys are, you guys using, the different blockchains, and you're developing on different ecosystems within the Nextop blockchain Nextop blockchain startup, sorry. But you also want to identify why your specific use case or why your specific problem that you're solving for requires blockchain. And that is when you do when you conduct an underlying use case analysis, you say, okay, how are you going to A, solve for it, and B, how is blockchain going to make it easier, or is it's going to produce more value for the end user in the long run? And so you have to look at all of those things, and you have to really poke holes in your own argument when you're developing your use cases, which is essentially crafting your solution. The ways to do so is looking into existing solutions on the market, seeing what, and this could be, without using blockchain technologies. Maybe you do a hybrid, or maybe you're transposing something from the top, which, or from, externally, from without a blockchain solution, and you are providing some sort of a platform that requires for it. Now, you want to develop an underlying token model and or business model. So a lot of times projects or blockchain projects, they are reliant on a token model. That is how the project works. But it could also be that there is an underlying business model, and then a token model sits on top of it. A token model is essentially something that connects to the end user. So that is, touching the end user at every single point in time, and where different ecosystem participants are able to, transact with the token and use the token within the said project's economy, for example. There are projects out there that, especially the case study that we are going to present to you, where they came to us with an underlying business model already. They had a fully functioning business model, and they wanted to conduct a token and create a token and go to market. And so we had to work together to identify how and what's the best strategy to do so without either or model, like either the token model or the business model, cannibalizing each other, and rather working in unison to actually go to market. Now, the third thing here is that you want to, which is in lieu of the second, is that you want to be able to create a circular token economy, which means that, going from, the customer or the user buying tokens to using your platform, transacting in the different places, to then going back to the market and continue buying tokens again. So the circular token economy is going to be very, very important for you to develop, so that the value that you have generated is continuously circulated and transacted, and also it stays within your ecosystem as much as possible. And then, after that is describing a technology stack. So whether your token is built on ERC20 or it's built on a newer novel blockchain like Matic, or it's built on EOS or any of these other netbox, for example. And so you describe those, but that the fourth step is really just putting the nail on the solution. You've already identified all the solutions that you can go to market with, and you are now essentially going to market with, and finalizing the use cases that are going to solve the pain points underlying. Now, after that, you want to then develop the token economics. So, what type of supply are you looking at? Do you want 100,000 supply? Do you want a 500,000 supply? Do you want 2 billion supply? That is going to be very important, and it depends on which ecosystem you're operating within. Are you within a fully customer to customer ecosystem? If you are, then you need a higher supply. If you are in a B2C ecosystem, you can do with a lower supply. If you are fully a blockchain project that is building a layer 2 solution like Matic is, or like ICP, Internet Computer Protocol, then it heavily depends on the technology stack that currently exists. So the token economics is very important, and that's how you would develop those. You have to ask yourself how are you looking to face, and how the customer would face your product in the market. And then the fifth point here is that, and the fifth point actually occurs during the entire top 4 points, is that you're crafting your story by going through the research, by underlying the pain points, by conducting your use case analysis, by going through all those steps. You are crafting your story of how you want to present this to the reader. And this includes getting a mission and vision of the product and of the project, and being able to fully define succinctly, not to go on and on and on, but very, very succinctly how you're going to be able to do so. And then you develop a go-to-market strategy, which includes marketing and includes a roadmap. And then finally, don't forget to write your abstract. So this is really it. This is how you would build a white paper for a project of 2021. Yeah, if we can go to the next slide.
Yep. Do I just walk you through this?
Yeah, so
pretty much what you just talked about.
So these are some of the offerings that we have for what we do at GDA. So we, obviously, so I write white papers. So white papers is the very first thing. But we also do light papers, or essentially just a condensed form of a white paper for investors that want to, or for users that want to get a quick glimpse of what the project is all about. A half pager, which is essentially just a document that very, very briefly goes over what the project is all about. A pitch deck, very important. Pitch decks are very, very important for the project and the underlying use cases that they're solving for. Token smart contract audits. So we have tech providers that we do that with. We formulate a fully functional end-to-end go-to-market strategy that allows people to projects to go from just white paper to this is a project that's coming out in the community, in the ecosystem. And then project undergoes all the tax and legal and financial legal and compliance regulations and all that stuff. We do the projections for financial service for financials as well, depending on the need of the client, and if the client is requested, especially if the client already comes with a business model, then we would request their financials and then build the token model on top of that. So then we have to map everything out again. And then we provide everything to them, to investors. We provide everything to the client in the form of a data room, and send all the documents relating to that in there. Yep. Oh yeah. Okay. So as I was saying before, token economics is a very big part, and this is where you want to understand how you're going to market. So this also includes the are you doing an ICO, IDO? IDO is an initial DEX offering, or you're doing IEO, you partner with an exchange. There are a lot of other newer forms of going to market, there's initial farm offerings, initial liquidity offerings. There different DEXs on the different platforms are allowing people to do so. And so depending on how you want to do it, do you want to do an airdrop? Do you want to do a Dutch auction sale? Or do you want to do a simple auction sale? Or is it going to be a jackpot? So there's different types of ways to go to market. And depends on the amount of liquidity you want to provide, and the sales structure, and also what your private sale and how you did your private sale, if you did one. But yeah, Will, if you want to go to the next slide. Do you want to talk about this, Will?
No, go for it, man. This is your project.
Okay. So a project that we worked on, you guys can Google it. It's the company was called Zignally, and so Zignally was a project that they came to us with a social trading platform. So they had a fully functional platform that allowed them to conduct for an individual to conduct social trades, or copy trades. Sorry, my bad. from one person. So say I'm an expert trader, you can copy my trades and make money based off of my trades. And so that was their business model, and they had connected to all of the major exchanges, Binance, FTX, BitMEX, and all that stuff. But they wanted to come and create a token and go to market with that. So we had like two problems. One was that we had to identify how they're going to go to market with a token that is going to provide utility, and B, we had to identify how that token will, we have to basically figure out how that token will be able to work with the existing business model and not actually cannibalize what they already have. And then on top of that, the going to market with a token increases the brand visibility and increases the market capitalization of Zignally, the brand, the business model, as well as the token. And so, yeah, go to the next slide. Yeah, so we essentially took them on board. We started working with them, and we went through a lot of different use cases. We sat down and understood where they are currently at and where they want to be, and then we landed on an NFT-based insurance protocol that allows users to be able to invest in the social platform, but be able to do so by purchasing insurance as well, so that they're protected on the downside, if that downside exists or ever happens. And then with the underlying story that we ended up going with was, Zignally wanted to go and become a service for people that do not know how to trade or anything about cryptocurrencies, to be able to invest in Zignally's platform and use Zignally's platform. So the underlying theme became the entrance of new money into the market, and that was basically the problem that we were solving for. Is that Zignally wanted to look like a good investment platform for people that traditionally don't even put money in cryptocurrencies to begin with. They go for much more safer investments, which yield lower returns, obviously, but they go for much more safer investments. And so by implementing an insurance protocol, that complemented what Zignally was wanting to do. And then we just essentially put the two and two together, and we created a model for them that allowed for the Zig platform to provide risk averse crypto trading and crypto investment as that is comparable to, say, investing in the stock market or investing in ETFs, treasury bonds, or any of those other entities that people can invest in. And that bode well for their overall goal of becoming a wealth management institute that is managing wealth for people of all shapes and sizes, not just crypto friendly individuals. And so we assisted in creating the ideation of the insurance model, and completed the white paper. The design of the insurance was created, and then the token economics, and then built the token out on ERC20, which is Ethereum. And then we followed up with a go-to-market strategy that culminated in the listing on BitMEX, which is now Ascendex. And so we did this, and they, go to the next slide, please. Yeah, and they were able to raise $3 million in their private sale from various investors around the world. And then they had a market cap of around 25 mil at the time of engagement, and those are the numbers for the marketing that we were able to do. It was very, very successful, what we ended up doing for them, and now they have the CTO of CoinMarketCap and the likes working with them, refining the insurance model, and actually bringing that to market in the next couple of months. So yeah, this is really really it. I have my cameras on the entire time. This is really it. If you guys have any other questions now, I think would be the right time to ask.
Hey guys, this is Matt. Let me see one sec. Sorry, I can't see. Okay. Hey, I guess I'm asking Akshay or Bennett, or Will. But like, so for this competition, I'm doing a DApp, a DApp. So we're going to be using Terra. So I'm wondering what stuff we should include. If you have any white papers you could link to that you think are particularly good. It would be our first time doing a white paper. If you have an idea of maybe how short we could get away with, considering we have like 2 weeks to do it, and not everything's like known or finalized. If you have any good examples or any tips you'd give on, you know, what we could do for this presentation, for this competition, for that specific purpose, that'd be nice.
Yeah, so I'll start actually, and then you can just throw some stuff on. But Matthew, basically the way I'd approach that is thinking in terms of problem identification, what your solution is, and then talking about the tokenomics, because that's really what people are there for. They want to know, okay, what is the problem that makes this necessary, and how are they a solution, and then how exactly does it work? And like that's any other question you get asked in life, that's sort of how it all works. And so that's the broader aspect. And then actually, I think you wanted to add some stuff on.
Yeah, I think what you want to do is not so you're writing a white paper for the general audience. You're not writing it for a technical person. So do not include too much technical details, which will actually also save you from being, you know, like going over and above, and also your timeline is very short too. So keep it simple and like it's not, there isn't any limit or minimum amount of pages. It depends on how quickly and how concisely you can get your audience to agree with what you're saying. So I agree with what Will said. You want to, you know, go do the basics, background, you know, background research, identify what playing field it is and how that DApp, like, what was the situation like before that DApp existed? How is the like whatever business problem or whatever problem you're solving with that DApp? How is that going to like how, like, was it possible before like, you know, decentralized technology? Or you have to ask yourself these questions, like these very rudimentary questions of oh, okay, before like blockchain, what was the scenario? Now with blockchain, what's possible? And so what's possible is that your DApp is possible. And so what does your DApp do? How does it, you know, function? That's like one part of the white paper. But what you want to do is you want to identify the underlying value that your DApp brings to the ecosystem. That is the most important thing. And how your customer and who is going to be like who is going to get that value, right? That is going to be important too. Is it the end user? Is it a business? I don't know if it's like, you know, if you're putting businesses on it. Is it someone else, right? So that is very key. Other than that is simply just, you know, problem, background research, like, you know, problem, solution, and a storyline behind it. And if you can do that, just that, I think you'll be in a very good spot.
Did these white papers, how do you want them distributed? Like, for example, could they be in a PDF format or even a HTML format with like links to code examples within the white paper, like for a smart contract we made? Or
sure, that's not an issue. Like it depends. Like the creative freedom to display a white paper is totally up to you, however you want.
Thanks for the help.
No worries.
And Matt, just you can look up the Zignally white paper. Just how do you spell Zignally? Z-I-G-L-A. I got lost there. Zignally. You can figure it out. So just look that up, and that was a good one we did. And otherwise, you can even ask him. We'll email you some others after if you want to reach out.
With that Zignally 3 million private placement, was that all with accredited investors? I mean, how did you guys register that public or the offering with the SEC?
So that was So GDA has a network of investors. So yeah, it was with accredited investors that are looking to that are looking to basically invest in tokens and token sales. Also, the operating entity of Zignally is not based in North America, so SEC laws were not as stringent for them.
So what were you buying stock on the books?
No, it's the Zig token.
So that's a security.
Well, it really depends on the operating entity, where the company that's operating within, and then B, you want to, because Zignally, the company itself was not planning to go to market in North America, and B, does not exist in North America. So
Oh, it was all foreign investors?
yeah, exactly. So because of those two things, we were able to avoid SEC regulation. And a good point there is that a lot of our time was spent in figuring out how the token use case and what we're doing with it will be able to curb SEC laws and regulations.
And it was
Oh.
basically an NFT for reference, John. So it's a little bit different than if it was a like utility token, which is a security token by another name. So there was that aspect that we thought about. And there's also the aspect that we're based in Canada, and we also have we're moving offshore at the same time. So we were very cognizant of that, and we were always cognizant of that. And with this, yeah, you're right. Obviously something you have to be careful of.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's not a lot of precedent on NFTs, so solid, cool.
Yeah, and the other thing is that rules have been since then, rules have changed in Canada, and I assume they've changed in the States. Actually, they have changed in the States, and so as that continues to happen, it gets confusing every few months, and you got to keep lawyers on hand all the time.
Isn't that the truth?
All right, we'll move to Robert's question. He has his hand up.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I may not be eligible for the contest, and I just want to confirm it before I give up. I'm an Ethereum developer that moved over to the Neo blockchain platform. Are you familiar with Neo?
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm looking through several times the eligible categories on the dev post page, and I don't think I really see anything where a Neo DApp could apply.
Bennett or Connor, can you speak to that? Can anyone?
That'd be a question for Connor. I'm not sure if Connor's listening. Are you in the Discord, Robert?
Yes, I am, and I posted a message, but things don't look in the section I posted, the Open Innovation channel, things don't look so busy, so I figured I'd ask.
Okay, I'll go on the Discord and tag Connor to your question.
Okay, my Discord handle is GPT for me.
Okay.
I'll type it in the chat.
Okay, thanks. So,
All right, thanks for answering my question.
yeah, no problem. And then we have one other question from the chat. What are the most common mistakes that you see in writing a white paper? Or the biggest mistake? I don't know. That's probably.
Okay, so I guess the biggest thing is where people rely too much on, especially with blockchain and the hype around it, is there's too much hype around the actual use of blockchain technology to solve something. So I've read way too many times, oh, we're going to use blockchain technology to save the world, quote unquote. That's really what it means. It's oh, we're going to use blockchain technology to revolutionize and decentralize supply chain. And so these big words and jargon words is probably one of the biggest things where it takes away from the value that project may have, and so you stay away from that and you focus on simply utility. And if you focus on utility and how the user can benefit from your application or from your project, then you won't have any issues. But if you are looking to essentially use jargon for your application's sake and for your marketing or whatever within the white paper, then I think that is that is counterintuitive and counterproductive to what you want to do. Yeah, I think that's really one of the biggest examples of people messing up. And the second thing is that a lot of times people just dump information and they hope for the best. Like they say, oh, we're building everything, we're gonna dump it all, and then that doesn't really work. You can't really just dump something and expect the user to identify. So having a story and not using jargon is very, very key. Now, especially now, if you are like writing a technical white paper, obviously you would have to use technical language, but that is different to saying, using blockchain technology, we're going to create a D app that does that decentralizes betting. That's not good. You have to go deeper than that.
Okay, perfect. One other question from Jordan. What utilities in design does one have to watch out for regarding deeming one's token as a security versus a utility?
That is a question that we're all trying to answer.
Good luck. Yeah.
Good luck. It's the only thing to say.
That changes every day. Yeah.
No, I think so. There's some like if you want to do whoever asked that question, they can do some precedence research. So BAT, for example, is considered not a security, right? Ethereum is not considered a security. It was a security when it was launched in 2016 because of the ICO, but because it was the securities laws weren't enforced, now it's not a security. So simply because there's so much, it's too decentralized, right? That is also along the same lines. And so you have to really understand at which point in time you're looking at a project, and B, how that project interacts with the community. I think those two are very, very key. But yeah, this is like the biggest question right now in all of, I guess, investing within blockchain.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite like white papers to read that you were reading when you were just starting out, Ashkaf? I don't know. I mean, like, of course, Bitcoin white paper is a classic. Just like some like short, concise white papers that are good examples. If you can think of anything on the top of your head.
It's really hard to really hard to think off the top of my head.
Some of the DeFi ones like Uniswap and Aave, they're not
those
easy
are really
reads,
good.
but they are useful reads in a way to understanding a whole bunch of new concepts at once. Trying to think what else.
Yeah, I would say like I'm a really big fan of DeFi. So like all the DeFi ones like Lattice, Uniswap, Sushi Swaps, Pancake Swaps white paper is really good. Understanding how they do token economics within that is really interesting. The white papers surrounding meme tokens sometimes are really like insightful too. As funny as it sounds, because they introduce a totally different economy to the market. So that is really cool. Some traditional projects such as I would say partially the Ethereum white paper was Ethereum wrote or I guess Vitalik wrote a bunch of them. So he wrote a yellow paper and then also a white paper. Yellow paper is just more technical, but I think I would say Ethereum's white paper is also really good, but it's very, very technical, like very so you have to not fall asleep reading it sometimes. But it was very insightful. I would say from a business standpoint and from purely a business standpoint, Binance's white paper was really good because it was like short, sweet, and concise. But yeah, I think Binance was one of those things where it was just simply good. BAT's white paper is very interesting. I think you guys should really go and look into BAT's white paper too. I've read that paper maybe like 5-7 times now. But I think that's white paper is something that like everyone, no matter what you do in your like whichever project you're working in, I would say that that white paper you will be able to learn something from it. Simply because it also came around the same time as Binance did. But it's just written in a very concise manner, but has a storyline attached to it, and also has some some mathematics and economics behind it. But that's fine. I would say the BAT white paper is a very good example of what a really good white paper is.
Okay, that helps a lot. Thanks. And
No worries.
yeah, okay. So it's a basic attention token.
Yeah. Basic attention token, correct. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions? Oh, Robert accidentally said a question to me. He said a prediction market doesn't have tokenomics, right? Just confirming this. No token, not an even NFT.
Depends on how you
the
implement the
prediction market.
prediction market though.
Like Polymarket doesn't, but I think Augur does.
Yeah, Augur is definitely has token.
Got it. Hopefully that helps, Robert.
Yeah. Prediction markets, it depends on how you implement it, right?
Okay, cool. Does anyone else have any more questions? If not, oh, here I got another question. Do you have any tips for the white paper structure? But the idea is based on blockchain technology without the integration of tokens. So
Same idea as I said before. It's a introduction, problem, solution, and then if not tokenomics, just technology. And if you want, you can close with a go-to-market strategy. Feel free to add anything, Akshay, but it seems pretty.
That's really it. Like you just swap out all the token stuff with all the tech stuff, and you go from there. But you also want to make sure that you don't go too overboard. So you have to explain it in a way that people will be able to understand, and how what your main layer or what your main network is doing in terms of solving for the problems at hand or the pain points at hand. Because at the end of the day, you have to realize that you're writing a white paper for the people that want to invest in your project and not people that are computer scientists.
yeah, I think that's where you just really have to dumb it down for any audience. Even if you understand it, you just need to be able to put it in words where anyone can understand.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Jordan asked, ideas, examples, or use cases of good value capture from a protocol with the token. I don't know. That's another you can think of anything on the top of your head.
Value capture from a protocol so can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, it's in the chat as well. It's from Jordan.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Ideas, examples, or use cases of good value capture from protocol with the token. I don't know. Can't think of anything.
I guess what he's saying is that how do you capture value from an ecosystem, from a protocol level back to the user. So I would say anything to do with accessing, having that protocol access more users, or helping more users. For example, in this case, I guess this would be more or less an example could be, but this would be a private thing, a private blockchain where you could essentially offer loyalty systems that capture value in the form of attention and the form of interaction to users, and be able to offer that on a very gasless perspective. So the user doesn't have to pay anything to interact with the blockchain, but they provide their attention and value in terms of loyalty to the protocol and to the underlying business model, and then they're able to, and then the protocol and business model are then able to use those and create and generate essentially a circular economy where they then either make money via the services that they provide, or they make money via the ad placements or whatever else that they are going to be doing.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a very open-ended question. It requires a bit of thought, but if you want to extract value from protocol level solutions, definitely giving users access to gas-free transactions is the first step, or one of the first steps.
Sounds good. Well, answer about 3 more questions and we'll end it. Try to give you guys some time back on your day. So how important is it to address the legal side of the business in the white paper? Probably not a main concern.
Whoever asked that question, like, what do you mean by legal side? Depends on a lot of things, right? Like, are you just like, what do you mean by like, depends on, are you doing something illegal? Obviously not, but the legal side is very, very stringent on the fact that where you're operating within, you have to understand that, and B, how you are going to be going to market. So 2 things there. Will, maybe you want to have something to add, but I don't think especially for the scope of this competition, you have to worry about the legal side as much. But Will, maybe you have something else to add.
I don't really. I think like it's also a pretty varied answer, so it's hard to speak to a specific company without knowing more.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, you have to ask yourself like where you want to operate in, what your jurisdiction of how you want to go to market. So for example, DeFi is very, very good right now because we can escape a lot of regulatory stuff because this DeFi hasn't been KYC'd yet. So that way you don't have to worry about anything. You just launch it. It looks innovative. It's DeFi, and you have a solid white paper, so you're good, right? But really depends on like how you go about your project.
Yeah, that's something I wouldn't really worry about for this competition. I just worry about the things we talked about earlier with the setup. But good question overall.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. As an entirely community funded project with no firm or legal structure at the moment, would you have any special advice? The goal would be not scaring people and bringing reassurance points.
Dale.
Not sure.
So Dale, decentralized autonomous organization.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to that person.
Okay.
Look into Shapeshift. So Eric Voorhees is the CEO of Shapeshift, and they recently just dissolved all of their structures, their legal structures, their organizational structures. Now they're one of the first DAO companies, if that makes sense. So they now the company doesn't have no CEO, has no board of directors. It's all fully decentralized within the way that they work. So look into DAO and look into Shapeshift.
Yeah, I sent the link for that in the chat. Okay, we'll go last question here. Can you recommend a favorite pitch video we could study? I don't know.
Do TechCrunch. TechCrunch, just watch anything from there. All the people in TechCrunch, very, very solid, very, very insightful. And if you want to have some fun, watch Silicon Valley. But yeah, TechCrunch.
All right. That's it. Okay. Thanks, guys. We'll end it there and give you guys some time back on your day. Thank you again for spending some time to come in, and thank you everybody for showing up. This will be available on YouTube shortly after we finish, and everything will be posted in the Discord. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free to post in the Discord and tag me or Connor. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Have a good Tuesday.
Take care.